Sarah Nathan, who will be speaking to us about the power of women's philanthropy, past, present, and future. Sarah K. Nathan, PhD, is Associate Director of the Fundraising School, the nationally renowned professionally training program for fundraising practitioners. Yes, there is such a thing. Dr. Nathan is passionate about philanthropy education, enhancing the fundraising profession through research, and her community, where she serves on the Johnson County Community Foundation Board. So please welcome Dr. Sarah Nathan. Sarah.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for your leadership, to the volunteers and staff for the invitation to be here this morning. This is such an inspiring way to start the day, the weekend, in the month of August. So thank you. It really is a delight to be here representing the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, the first school of philanthropy in the world, right here in central Indiana. And I'm representing two of our signature programs, the Fundraising School, as Sandy just described, and the Women's Philanthropy Institute, which is home to cutting-edge research designed to grow women's philanthropy. Pretty cool, huh? I love to time travel. I don't know about you, but I love to time travel. So this morning, I'll share a very brief history of women's philanthropy in America. Then I'll share some of the research produced by our school that demonstrates the significant power of women's philanthropy today. So this is a lot to do in 10 minutes, friends, so let's jump right in. While philanthropy as voluntary action for the public good has existed across time and space, across all cultures and religious traditions, we can trace the history of women's philanthropy in America to Lady Molson, also known as Anne Radcliffe, who contributed 100 pounds for the first endowed scholarships at the newly created Harvard College in 1643. You see here a copy of her bequest. The Harvard of Lady Molson's day was not the great university that you know today. It was a rather fledgling, backcountry, colonial college, which existed almost entirely because of philanthropy. About 200 years later, in 1894, the women's annex to the university was chartered as a full and legitimate institution of learning, and it was given the name of Harvard's first female benefactor, Radcliffe. Okay, here we go on our tour. Let's fast forward a few hundred years to the second half of the 19th century and the life of Madam C.J. Walker, who was the daughter of former slaves and who rose through her own hard work to become a preeminent businesswoman and America's first female millionaire in her own right. She was also a leading philanthropist of her day. Knowing firsthand the struggles of being poor, black, and female in the emerging Jim Crow South, her philanthropic giving was focused on racial uplift, which meant helping African Americans overcome Jim Crow and achieve full citizenship. She gave money to local, regional, national, and international organizations that were typically founded by or focused on serving African Americans. Her racial uplift giving was primarily dedicated towards Black education and social services. She gave to many Black colleges and secondary schools because she knew in her own lifetime she was denied the value of an education in the Jim Crow South. For social services, she gave to a wide variety of organizations that were on the ground, responding to the basic needs of African Americans related to discrimination, food, healthcare, housing, daycare, and community development. Here we are in 1889 when Jane Addams founded Hull House in Chicago, the first settlement house to provide social and educational opportunities to working class individuals. In addition to devoting a large portion of her own money, her own inheritance to this work, Addams was successful in building a network of female supporters who led and provided the majority of philanthropic support for Hull House. Reminds me a lot of what's happening in this room today. The movement she started grew to almost 500 settlement houses nationally, including Flanner House in Indianapolis, the first settlement house for African Americans in the city. And this organization continues to thrive today with a mission almost identical to the one at its creation in 1903. By the way, Madam C.J. Walker was a donor to Flanner House in Indianapolis. Our 10-minute time machine just really can't do justice to the deep and rich history of women's philanthropy in America. If you'd like some reading recommendations, see me later. I can give you some more suggestions. But here we are back in the present day. You can probably think of some of the high-profile female mega donors. You can think of them off the top of your head, right? Melinda Gates, Oprah, Alice Walton. But let's meet some of the powerful female philanthropists who don't make the national headlines. Here, meet Nicole Robinson. She began her career in corporate philanthropy at Kraft, and she eventually transitioned her career into the nonprofit sector, where today she is Vice President of Community Impact at the Greater Chicago Food Bank. In 2017, she and 6 others co-founded the Southside Giving Circle at the Chicago Foundation for Women, which has since awarded over $33,000 in grants to Black, women-led organizations on the south side of Chicago. And finally, making Indiana news headlines is Cindy Simon Scott, who continues her parents' generosity through the Sumerian Foundation and her engagement in many causes throughout central Indiana, including over time service on 38 different local boards. Here she is with some IU Bloomington athletes at the naming ceremony of the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, a gift she made to honor her father and the important role sports played in her life growing up. Like you all, she is active in a women's fund for Indiana University, and I'm sure in many other causes that are close to her heart. Who is your philanthropy role model? Someone you've seen here? A prominent person in your community? Someone in this room? Your mother? Your grandmother? Female philanthropists are all around us when we just look for them. So while women's philanthropic interests and inclinations and passions are not new, until recently, only anecdotal evidence supported the notion that women donors present a sizable pool of largely untapped philanthropic potential. Today, we can shine a bright spotlight on the power of female philanthropists. Our research reports span a range of topics, from giving during retirement, to giving circles like you're part of, to impact investing and the transmission of philanthropic values. Across these topics, the researchers at our school apply a gender lens to better understand where, how, and why women and men give differently. So let me share a few highlights. Research from the Women's Philanthropy Institute examines demographics, who is philanthropic, and how do factors such as age, family dynamics, marital status, and income affect giving by women and men. You will be pleased to know that across income levels and generations, women are more likely to give and give more than their male counterparts. Women generally make the charitable giving decisions in their household too, an influence that's even stronger for younger women. What about giving motivations? Why do women and men give, and how do these motivations influence their giving? We can see some differences here too. Women's giving is based on empathy, a concern for others, whereas men are more motivated by self-interest. Think of the tangible and intangible benefits they get in return for their gift. Surprised? Yeah, me either. Our research also examines giving behaviors, how women and men give, which platforms and approaches and ways do they like to give. As strongly evidenced in this very room, women like to give collectively. 70% of members of giving circles are women. Likewise, on Giving Tuesday, women are more likely to give on this National Day of Generosity because they see other women giving, because they see the impact that their gifts can make when they are collected together and given to an organization. More women giving on Giving Tuesday means more and more philanthropy raised from women. What difference does giving make for men and women? We know from the social psychology research that people who give and volunteer are happier, have better health outcomes, and tend to live longer. Great news for all of us in this room. There is great joy to be found in giving. So much so that we like to say at the fundraising school that we're in the joy delivery business. No doubt giving is satisfying for both men and women, but their satisfaction differs slightly. Men tend to feel a sense of satisfaction when they first become a donor, but women feel that increase in life satisfaction when they increase their giving, which means to me that our satisfaction has the capacity to grow as we grow in our philanthropy. So to solve challenges large and small, our world needs more strategic philanthropy. Women, you can lead this charge, harnessing women's growing wealth and influence to create a more just, equitable, and healthy society. But to unlock the full potential of women's philanthropy, we also must understand it through research and how gender shapes giving behavior. And so I ask you, friends, what do you want your philanthropic legacy to be? Really, I want to know. Come and visit me after our event today, and I want to know your answer to this question. And I can also share with you some additional resources from our school, and you can learn about our school. I'll be milling around outside. Come and tell me your answer to this question. What dreams can we make possible when we give together?